Hi guys, welcome to today's video. This video is going to be my favorite romance books slash my romance book recommendations. So I have 10 books here. Oh my god, my arms. And I'm going to be talking through all of them, and I'm going to let you know the tropes, how much spice is in it, a brief synopsis of what the book's about. Obviously no spoilers. Also, I'm in my sister's room because I thought this would be a good little spot, and I put these little love things up. These aren't in any order or anything, these are just all of my favorites. So the first book we have is Always Only You by Chloe Leese. This is a part of a series, but it's a standalone series, so you don't have to read them all in order, and this is the second one. So this book features Frankie and Ren. Ren is a hockey player and Frankie works for him. She's like the social media manager, like she manages what people are saying and putting out tweets and stuff. And she also has autism and arthritis. So you explore that in this book and how it affects her relationships. The tropes in this book, so it has forbidden workplace romance because they work together. And then Ren is a cinnamon roll guy, which if you don't know what that means is he's basically really sweet. So the opposite of like grumpy. And he also falls for her first. This is one of my like absolute favorite romances. I read it quite recently and I just flew through it. I was so in love with the story and the characters, and it was so sweet. It was such a sweet romance. Like, I was so giddy reading it. I really recommend this book. It had such good representation of autism and chronic illness, and oh, it was so good. The spice, I would say it's like a 3 out of 5. There's like a couple of scenes, so I would say it's like a 3 out of 5. So yeah, but this is my first book I recommend. I highly recommend this book. I love this book so much. The next book, If Only You by Chloe Leese. So this is the 6th book in the series. These are actually the only ones I've read in the series, but I love them so much. I have the rest of the series and I'm probably gonna get to them and read them. I look really shiny. But this book follows Ziggy, who is Ren's brother, and Sebastian is Ren's best friend. And Ziggy, probably like 7 years younger than Ren, so there's a bit of an age gap, and Ziggy is a soccer player while Sebastian is a hockey player. Ziggy also has autism, and it's explored really well in this book, but since her diagnosis, people have been treating her like a little kid. Well, people have always been treating her like that, like because she's the youngest. I think she's the youngest or second youngest. And so people, her family and other people always treated her kind of like she was naive, and she doesn't want to be treated like that anymore. And it's happening in her soccer career as well. So she offers to be fake friends with Sebastian to help her image. And Sebastian has done a lot of bad things in his career, and he like recently did something really bad. So Ziggy offered to do the fake friends thing to make both of their reputations look better. And then obviously they fall in love through that. This was also such a sweet book. Their relationship, it was so good. Chloe Leese is really good at exploring like what it means to be in a relationship and what relationships mean, and mental health and all these different topics so well. But it's not like it's like thrown at you like there's all this information. Like, it's just through their conversations. It's so good. And in her books, you see the characters together a lot of the time. In a lot of romance books, there'll be like quite a few chapters where they're not together, and the whole time I'm just waiting for them to be back together, like, and communicating or doing something together. But I don't feel like that in her books because they're always together. Obviously, they still have time apart, but I just love that about these books because that's what I want, you know? I say the spice is also a 3 out of 5. It's like the same for Always Only You. Okay. The next books, we have the Holy Trinity. The Ali Hazelwood books. I think we all know I love Ali Hazelwood. I love Ali Hazelwood. I love her books so much, and recently loved Theoretically, her newest book that came out. It's one of my favorite books ever. I made a whole reading vlog reading it, but I'm gonna quickly talk about these books. So first, love Theoretically. I love this book so much. I've talked about it so much. Basically, in this book, it follows Elsie. This is a STEM romance, and she's doing this like teaching job that doesn't pay well. And so she also does this fake dating thing where she like, okay, how do I explain this? There's people who need like a fake girlfriend for like family events or like work outing stuff. So she basically pretends to be their girlfriend. And so this helps like with money and stuff because she's not doing well with money. But one of her like best clients, Greg, has a brother named Jack, and Jack is very like grumpy, standoffish. He doesn't say much to Elsie, so Elsie's like, I hate seeing this man. And then Elsie goes to do a interview for a job that she really wants to get, and the money is so much better than what she's earning right now. And Jack happens to be working there as well, and he's like a big rival in the whole STEM world. I'm not going to get into the details, but it's like a rivals thing. Like he has caused a lot of drama against the work that Elsie does. In this book, Elsie is very like hyper vigilant, and she's always focusing on what other people want from her, and she like morphs her personality to fit what she thinks other people want from her, and Jack picks up on this. And so like he hates it, and he just wants her to be the real her. He's the only person she can feel like she can be herself with. And in this book, Elsie also has diabetes, and so that's explored in here, and it was a really good representation of chronic illness as well. The spice I'd also say is a 3 out of 5. There's like maybe a few chapters. If you don't like spice, you could skip over it. I think it does add a bit to the book, but like it's up to you. Next, Love Hypothesis. I think everybody and their mother, probably not their mother, everybody knows this book. This is like a classic romance. I mean, it's really good, so I understand why. This book has fake dating. Olive and Adam fake date. Why do they fake date? I remember why they fake date. Because Olive wants her friend to think she's over her ex-boyfriend, so like her friend can date him. And so she says she's on a date. That ends up with Olive planning a fake dating arrangement with Adam. And so they pretend to date so that her friend can basically date her boyfriend. I mean, yeah. Adam is like very grumpy as well. He's like keeps to himself, doesn't say much. And it's also a STEM romance, obviously. This book is just so cute. It's so sweet. I say the spice is a 2.5 out of 5 because there's like 2 chapters. And I think you can like, I think you can easily skip over it and you won't miss anything. And last Ali Hazelwood book is Love on the Brain. This is probably my least favorite out of the 3, just because it wasn't my favorite like storyline, but it was still like, I loved it so much. I don't know what it is about Ali Hazelwood's writing and the people she writes, the guys, she does it so well. Basically in this book, B is starting this new project, and when she goes to start it, she finds out that she's actually working with Levi, who is someone who hated her. She thinks hated her throughout school. I don't think it was college, it was like, I don't know, he hated her at wherever it was, school, I don't know, college, something like that. And he's very grumpy and standoffish and doesn't say much. I don't think there's any other really tropes in here. Like it's like enemies to lovers, but they're not really enemies. It's just like a misunderstanding. This book was also really sweet. I rated the spice 3 out of 5 because there's quite a few more scenes in this one than the Love Hypothesis. Okay, the next book from Lukov with Love. I love this book so much. This is by Mariana Zapata. It is a bigger romance and it's a slow burn, but it follows Jasmine and Lukov, who are figure skaters, and they're enemies to lovers. Ivan is Jasmine's best friend's brother, and they've always like hated each other. They're always arguing, they never get along. But then Ivan wants to suddenly start skating in the competitions with Jasmine and wants her to be his partner, and she's like, well, Ivan's like one of the best ice skaters, so I guess I will. And then you've just followed their journey, and it's so sweet. There's so many little things that Ivan does throughout this book, and so many little scenes that I'm like, oh my god, it just, every little thing meant so much more. I don't know how to explain it. It was just, it's like a slow burn, so they don't get together until like the very end, but like there's still like so many parts of them together throughout the book that are so good. So it's not like I'm annoyed because they're not together yet. Like I'm just enjoying it as I'm going. I rate this spice a 1.5 out of 5. There's only one scene, but yeah, you could definitely skip it. The next book It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This book is so fun. It's such a fun romance and it's really funny as well. It follows Piper, who is like a rich LA girl. She's really rich and she's like parties and stuff, and that's kind of her life. But then something happens and her dad sends her away to this small fishing town to like find the meaning of life. I don't know, like because she does something bad and she needs to learn the consequences of her actions and learn how to like do things for herself. And in that fishing town she meets Brendan. He is a like fisherman and he's like the captain. And at first they don't like each other, but then they start to fall in love. This book reminds me a lot of Legally Blonde and Clueless, just because of Piper and her personality. And I guess people underestimating her and thinking she's not smart and a dumb blonde when that's not the case. This was a really enjoyable book. It was a lot of fun and so many good moments. I rated the spice for this book 3 out of 5. There's quite a few scenes. The next book, Hook, Line and Sinker. This is the second book in the series, so they're like companion novels and you don't have to read them in order. But this book follows Hannah and Fox. Hannah is Piper's sister and Fox is Brendan's best friend, and they're friends to lovers. So they become friends when Piper first moves to this small fishing town because Hannah went with her. So they like formed a friendship and they both had attraction to one another, but they didn't want to like really go into a relationship because Fox is a bit like a player. He's always with different women. And so they have a friendship, and then Hannah ends up going back to the fishing town for work, and then so she lives with Fox, and so it's a bit of like forced proximity. Yeah, and then obviously they fall in love. This book was also a lot of fun and it was so sweet. I really loved the last 70 pages. Like I loved the whole book, but the last 70 pages really like did it for me. It was so good. And also the epilogue, it was so sweet. I love this book so much. It was so good, and the tension and everything. I love this book. I rated The Spice another 3 out of 5. There's quite a few scenes in this one. Next, Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. This is quite a different book from the other ones I've talked about. This book is a bully romance, so there's a bit of bullying. If you didn't get that from the name of bully, from the, yeah, okay. This one is a bit of an interesting storyline. So Misha and Ren are pen pals. They're like childhood pen pals, but they've never met each other. The school, like when they were kids, organized a pen pal for everyone and they got set up together, and they've been like talking to each other, sending each other letters for years and years and years. They're like each other's best friend, and then they meet and they hate each other. And so the person Misha meets is not the Ren he knows. Like she's so different from everything he knows about her through their letters. And so Misha kind of like bullies her a bit. I had so much fun reading this book. I didn't think I was going to rate it a 5 stars. I was actually set on not reading this book. I was just like, nah, I don't think I'm going to read it. And then I did, and I really enjoyed it. I flew through it. It was so much fun. This book has a lot more spice. It's a 4 out of 5 and there's quite a few scenes. This book was a lot of fun, even though it's like different from what I usually read, and the bullying was a bit like questionable, but it wasn't that bad. Like it wasn't like extreme bullying. Okay, the last book is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I don't have a physical copy of this book because I read it from the library, but I really badly want a physical copy. This book is set in a small town. It follows Emily, and she goes to stay with her sister and her niece in this small town, and this town holds like this Renaissance fair every year, and it's like a really big deal. They do it for like weeks in the summer, and there's like rehearsing and dress ups and everything. And Emily's niece wants to be a part of the Renaissance fair, so Emily has to volunteer with her. And so that's a big part of the book, is the Renaissance fair, which was so much fun. And one of the like coordinators, like head people for it, is Simon, who Simon and Emily don't get along. It's like enemies to lovers. He's very grumpy. It was a really sweet book. I really liked the storyline of Emily. When she first goes to the small town to stay with her sister, she's had a lot of things happen in her life and she's not really sure where to go. Like she doesn't know what she wants to do as a career, like where she's gonna live after like her stay there. But in the book we explored her like discovering what she enjoys to do, and yeah, all that stuff, which I really enjoyed. I rated The Spice a 2 out of 5. There's only like maybe 1 or 2 scenes. that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like, you can follow my bookstagram or my booktok, and that's it. Bye.